Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness unto light. Lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. And one more invocation from the Aparokshanubhuti text. Shri Harim Paramanandam Upadeshtaram Ishwaram Vyapakam Sarvalokanam Karanam Tam Namamyaham. Good morning and namaste. Today's subject is non-dual meditation, meditation in Advaita Vedanta, the special practices which are known as Nididhyasana. A little context before we go. I'm going to start with this little parable. I had heard it from a sadhu in the Himalayas long ago, but I think it's very useful to understand what is done in Advaita Vedanta and what is done in yoga. Both will lead you to enlightenment, but there's a difference. So the story is of a little boy who had never seen a cinema. And if such little boys exist now, I don't know, but maybe they do. Let's assume this little boy had never seen a cinema. And his father takes him to, from a village somewhere in India to a city nearby to show him a cinema. On the way, he tells him that, look, there is going to be a screen. And on the screen, there will be the cinema, the film, where you can see pictures and you will hear sounds and there will be movement and a story. And when they enter the cinema hall, the cinema has already started. And that's important to the story because when we enter into life, the cinema has already started. We don't see the beginning of it. You're plunged into the middle of it. There's mom and dad and there's school and friends and happiness and hurt and so on and growing up to be done. All of that, the cinema has already started. And this boy, at first, just like all of us, this boy is engrossed in the movie. He's delighted. And let's just assume, I always think of it as maybe, the Mahabharata or some such story. And the boy is watching the cinema. After some time, he relaxes and he thinks about it. And he asks his father, Father, Dad, where's the screen? You said there would be a screen. Where's the screen? And the father says, there, in front of you. There, that's the screen. Now imagine it's the Mahabharata war. Maybe Krishna is teaching Arjuna the Gita or something like that. So the boy says, so that man with the bow and arrow, that's the screen? No, behind him, behind him. Behind him, the chariot on the battlefield. The chariot is the screen? No, behind that. Oh, you mean the battlefield? No, behind that. You mean the sky? No. All of it. It's all of it. Oh, so the warriors and the chariot and the sky and the battlefield, all of it is called the screen. No. If you just take it all away, that's the screen. So you mean if you take everything away and there's nothing left, that's the screen. How will the father point out the screen to the kid? By this time, I'm sure they are being shushed by people near them. How will the father point out the screen to the kid? The monk who told this story to us, this parable, he said that wherever the father points, there's a picture. Wherever you point to, where the teacher tells us, this is Brahman, there's a picture. There's a person, there's a chair, there's the room, or if nothing else, behind everything, there's the sky, space out there. There's a picture. And if you want to be more subtle about it, you point inside, no, close your eyes and look inside. there is the breathing, and then there is the sensations of the body, and then there is heat and cold, and then there are emotions, then there are thoughts, there are ideas, there are memories. Those are pictures too. None of that is meant when the teacher tells you that's Brahman, that's pure consciousness, that's the reality. It's a picture. How do you know? How can you point out? There are two ways. One way is to shut down the movie. When the movie is shut down, there used to be intermissions earlier. I don't know if there are intermissions anymore. But when we were kids, the movie would be shut off and you can take a break. So when you switch off the movie, at first there's blankness. And that's like deep sleep. No movie, but nothing else either. Just blank. And then the lights come on in the hall and the boy sees the screen without the movie for the first time and says, oh, I see. There's nothing has to be explained. Oh, I see. That's the screen. Now he understands the technology of the movie, what's going on there. Not only that, afterwards, when the movie comes on again, he's not confused anymore. He knows, though he's not seeing the screen by itself anymore, he knows the screen is there, and that's all that there is. Where there are warriors and chariots and arrows flying in the sky and the earth and the battlefield and a tragedy and a war, it's just the screen. He knows, doesn't have to be explained. Now, what the yogi does is this. There's one word for it, nirodha. The yogi switches off the movie. Patanjali Yoga switches off the movie. Yoga chitta vritti nirodha. Stilling the mind is called yoga, the path of meditation. What happens then? Tada drashtu swarupe avasthana. When the witness consciousness is appreciated, is appreciated in its real nature. It always remains in its real nature, but it's appreciated in its real nature. You see yourself as awareness. When there is no contact with the world, with the senses, you sitting quietly in meditation. When every thought in the mind is still, there are no memories, there are no thoughts, there are no desires, no emotions, no perceptions, no idea, not even the idea that I am meditating. Even the sense of I floats away, and yet you're completely awake. A breakthrough. As Swami Vivekananda said, it's like a lake which has been stilled. There are no waves or ripples on this lake, and the water of the lake is very pure, like clear glass. I have seen such lakes in the Himalayas. You can see through to the bottom of the lake. Similarly, there's no other way to explain it. Consciousness, this is awareness of awareness. You're awake, and there's clarity that you are awareness. You notice, you are always this. It is this awareness, when the mind starts functioning, this awareness shining upon the mind, thoughts, feelings, emotions, perceptions, ideas, memories. I remember, I see, I hear, I smell, I touch, I think, I want, I love, I hate. All that is the mind. Awareness is still there. The clarity is still there, but it's obscured by the activities of the mind. The movie is playing now, but you know. So that's the yogic way. One word for that is nirodha. Nirodha. What does the Advaitin do? The Advaitin's task is different, maybe a little more difficult. The movie plays and the technology of the movie is explained to you, and you're expected to understand that it's the screen without switching off the movie. Life is going on. One sadhu said, Advait pratiti ko mitane ka arth Advait nahi hai. Pratiti means the appearance, world appearance. Wiping out the slate clean, switching off the movie. That is not Advaita. Non-dualism does not intend to do that. Advait, he says in Hindi, I'll translate, Advait aapko vyavahar mein nirvad banata hai. What a beautiful statement. I tried to approximate it in English. In transactional life, in day-to-day life, not sitting in meditation. on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, in the battlefield of life and in your work, in your community, in action, in the midst of action, it makes you limitless. It makes you fearless. It clears all anxiety, trouble. It gives you an absolute serenity as if nothing existed at all. In the midst of all experience of life, even when you're seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, nothing is obscured. It's the clear light of unlimited awareness which is shining forth. Whatever you experience in this awareness, sights, sounds, smells, thoughts, desires, feelings, all of them are seen as nothing more than pictures in this awareness. Appearances. The world, the universe is an appearance. Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. Brahman alone is real. Pure consciousness alone is real. Existence, consciousness, bliss alone is real. World is an appearance. What am I? Real or an appearance? You are Brahman. You are the reality. You are existence, consciousness, bliss. And this is clear, continuously so, not obscure. In the midst of actions. There's a name for this. Hold on to the name. Badha. Badha. Badha means there is no clear English translation. Scholars translate it as sublation. S-U-B-L-A-T-I-O-N. Sublation. It's a technical term. It's something like watching a movie, knowing that nothing's really happening there. It's a screen. It's fiction. It's pictures and sound on a screen. Whose story I've told many times. He explained this to us. He was teaching Advaita, the high Himalayas in Gangotri. Now I with some other monks used to go to this class. It would be a half an hour class only at 4 p.m. Then we would go for dinner. Dinner was at 4:30, 4:40. Because it gets very dark very soon in the high Himalayas. I mean, when the sun dips behind the high mountains, suddenly it becomes all dark in the valley. It's a valley. Gangotri is a valley, but it's 10,000 feet high. So we used to go for this class, and Swami, he was an old Punjabi Swami, 80 plus years. And he used to live in a cave for most of his life. Then he started this ashram. He would tell us humorously, half humorously, I made only one mistake in my life, oh monks. I started this ashram. I should have stayed in the cave. And we would say, no, it's because you've got this ashram that we are getting the benefit. We can come and listen to you. He said, "Ek hi galti ki Mahatma ji, ye jo ashram banaya." Anyway, so one day in the class, he said, once upon a time, years ago, a television crew came to the Himalayas in Gangotri, and they were taking pictures. They're filming the Ganga, the river, which has just descended from Gomukh there. And it's a narrow, very fast flowing stream. And there was no electricity at that time. So they had a generator, they cranked it up. And so I'd never seen television earlier. And the television crew wanted to show me what television works like. So the director put a television set in front of the Swami, and they cranked up the generator, pointed the camera at the Ganga. And the Swami said, monks, I was startled. Everything's there. I could see Mother Ganga flowing fast. I could see the water. I could hear the sound of the water. In Hindi, he said, "Sab dikhta hai Mahatma ji. Ganga ji ja rahi hai, kal shabd aa raha hai pani ka." And then he said, I asked the director, the film director, "Sir, could you give me a glass of Ganga water, holy Ganga water from there, from that box? Ek glass Ganga jal dijiye, Babuji." And the director laughed and said, "Oh, Swami, there's nothing there. It just looks like that." And then the monk looked at us and he said, and he swept his arms around. A magnificent vista, towering peaks. They are the real giants there, going up 20,000, more than 20,000 feet up there, with glaciers running down their sides. Where we were, there was no snow at that time. But on the top of the peaks, there was snow, glaciers running down. Deodar forests all around, the Ganga flowing by, little ashrams dotting the sides of the valley. He swept his arms around like this and he said, "All of this, O monks, It just looks like that. It's not there. It's an appearance. ये जो है ना महात्मा जी सब दिखती है नहीं. It's not that nothing is there. There is. The screen is there. The reality is there, which is existence consciousness, which is this awareness, which is you, the real you. This knowledge is called badha, sublation, negation, cancellation. What is the difference between nirodha and badha? In nirodha, the appearance is wiped out. You remain in your real nature and nothing else appears to you. In badha, everything goes on. Your eyes are open. You are walking, talking, interacting, and yet you're clearly aware it's a movie. Movie is still on. The movie hasn't been switched on. So the technical definition of nirodha is chitta vritti nirodha. That is yoga. And the technical definition of badha is mithyatva nishchaya. The determination, the clarity that this is an appearance. This is the difference between yoga and Advaita. Now, in Advaita, meditation is necessary. In yoga, meditation is a must because that is the method. In yoga, meditation is the method. And it must go up to samadhi, not just even the highest samadhi, higher than that, from sampragyata samadhi to asampragyata samadhi. Then it will have its effect. In Advaita Vedanta, also meditation is necessary. Why? Isn't it enough? Cancellation, negation, sublation, badha. I see it's an appearance. Good, I'm free. I am an awareness. It's a movie. It doesn't affect me anymore. It can't scare me. It can't tempt me. Raga, dvesha, terror and temptation. This is the problem of life. All of it goes away when you are watching a movie because it's a movie. You can even simulate terror. In a horror movie, you might be terrified. Or in a comedy movie, you might be delighted. But you know it's a simulated terror, it's a simulated delight. It gives just aesthetic joy. It's an appreciation of art. So why can't you live like that? You can. It's possible. Sri Ramakrishna asked Totapuri, I mentioned it yesterday. Sri Ramakrishna asked Totapuri, his Advaita master, why do you meditate every day? And Totapuri said, look, monks have a water pot. So I have a brass water pot and I polish it every day till it gleams and glistens and shines. If I don't polish it every day, it will get a coating, it will become dull and dark, brass. And then Sri Ramakrishna said, but if the water pot were made of gold, you wouldn't have to polish it every day. And Totapuri agreed. What is that gold water pot? It's that perfection of badha, where a person has become a jivan mukta, sthita prajna, where the conviction, where the clarity is so steady, nothing in the world can obscure it. You can play whatever movie you like. You can switch off the movie you like. It's still a movie. And the clarity is absolutely there. That is the goal to be aimed at. Krishna mentions this as Sthita Prajna in the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. That's the goal of Advaita Vedanta. In the midst of action, as Sri Ramakrishna says, with eyes closed, with eyes open, the same God is clearly there. He says, what kind of God is this? If the eyes are closed and God exists, if the eyes are open and God does not exist, what kind of God is that? What he means is, with eyes closed, nirodha. With eyes open, badha. That is, it's an appearance. My divine mother Kali alone has become everything. It's very clear to him. And that is the goal. But today we are going to have a defense of Totapuri against Sri Ramakrishna. That until we are there, until it's a gold pot, gold water pot, as long as it's a brass water pot, one needs polishing. Swami Vivekananda says all we can do is polish the mirror. What is polishing the mirror? Spiritual practice. Why do you need to polish the mirror? Well, you need to, as long as you are not at the gold water pot level. As long as it is not done. Before that, polishing the mirror is necessary. There are technical details in an old book, 700-year-old book called Jivan Mukti Viveka. There's a great non-dualist master, Vidyaranya Swami, who lived in the south of India. in a kingdom called Vijayanagar Kingdom. He's famous for the book Panchadashi, 15 chapters on Advaita Vedanta. But he wrote another book, among many other books, Jivan Mukti Viveka. Suppose you have already, had the breakthrough. You already have a clarity. I am Brahman, I am awareness. This is very clear to me. What remains to be done? Something more remains to be done, he says. He says full enlightenment consists of, I'll run through this quickly. I will not dwell on it. Full enlightenment consists of three things. Tattva Jnana, enlightenment, basically, breakthrough. I am Brahman. But also, Manonasha, that means complete control, stilling of the mind, making the mind steady in the knowledge, I am Brahman. The word is an appearance. And Vasanakshaya, deconditioning the mind, the stuffing in the mind for many lifetimes, full of desires, full of conditioning, negativities, that has to be purified. Why? So that your realization can blaze forth unobstructed, that you can get the full benefit. Remember, the goal was neither Badha nor Nirodha. The goal was overcoming suffering, attainment of fulfillment. That goal will not be attained unless this is complete. Your breakthrough, enlightenment, I am Brahman, plus complete control of the mind to the point of stilling it in samadhi, plus purification of the mind so that desires are cleansed from the mind, vasanas are cleansed from the mind. All three, technically called Tattva Jnana, Manonasha, Vasanakshaya, all three together results in Jivan Mukti. So spiritual practice is necessary, as Totapuri said. When you are at Sri Ramakrishna, the gold pot level, the gold water pot level, then it's all right. But before that, let's admit we have brass water pots, and what is necessary now is meditation. One type of meditation is the Nirodha, and that's good. We do that. Stilling the mind, we take the help of a mantra. You can do a Buddhist meditation following the breath. There are many, many kinds of meditation, all leading to that Nirodha. There is another kind of meditation, non-dual meditation, which we are going to talk about, which depends on Badha, cancellation. When you realize I am awareness, the universe, including this body and mind, is an appearance in me, the awareness, you need to stay with that for some time. That type of meditation, staying with the Badha, staying with your realization, staying with your breakthrough, that is called Nididhyasana, non-dual meditation. It's not, you will see, it's not the silencing of the mind, which is done in yogic meditation. It's not the switching up of the movie. It's realizing it's a movie and watching the movie and keeping in mind it's a movie while watching the movie. It's living your life as you're living your life, keeping in mind, staying with the idea that it is I am awareness and all this is an appearance in awareness. Staying with that. Why? What good does it do? I mentioned it yesterday, but I'll run through it. There are 5 reasons actually why one should, even after, this is an advanced practice. What you're going to do now is an advanced practice. It's already after you've got your Vedanta down pat. It's already ready for you. After that, you need to stay with these things. Why would you want to do that? 5 reasons basically. One is called Jnana Parampara Raksha. That is, you need to protect the lineage of transmission of knowledge. As I said yesterday, that a Jnani, so-called enlightened person, a person of Advaitic knowledge, is not an impressive person if is full of complaints and anger and desires. It is not impressive. It is not useful. Cannot be a good teacher, cannot be a good example of Advaita Vedanta, nor a good teacher of Advaita Vedanta. I remember a great scholar, I will not name him, he has passed. He was a great Pandit and a master of Advaita, Sankhya, yoga, grammar, the systems of knowledge. And in his old age, he took to Jyotisha, astrology. So somebody asked him, sir, he was a little hard of hearing, you had to shout, sir, you at the age of 90 plus, you are a master of all those great systems of philosophy, non-dualism and Sankhya and yoga. Why are you spending the time in astrology, telling people's futures? And he said, what? Oh, there is no money in philosophy. Lots of money to be made in astrology. Now, if that is not a good advertisement for Advaita Vedanta. Okay, so that's one reason why one needs to stay with this until it becomes a living reality for you. Second reason is Viparjaya, that is, if you don't stay with it, you may have clarity. If you don't stay with it, what will happen is you may get confused. If you come across a new system of thought, a couple of new arguments, a particularly sharp debater, in our day-to-day life, you don't come across this, but you have to think about 1,000 years ago when it was continuously being debated. So a great debater comes to you, a great opponent of, say, the Nyaya school or something comes to you, and your Advaita is defeated by that Nyaya, even though you know it's right. You can be if you are not steady in your clarity. I told you the story yesterday of the milk, which is, you know it's white, but somebody comes and tells you, what about you? Yeah, you're right, milk is white, but only from white cows. From brown cows, milk is brown, red cows, milk is red, and black cows, milk is black. And you think that's a logical argument. It's a pretty good argument, actually. Maybe he's right. But if you have seen milk, no matter what anybody says, you know what it is. Nobody can tell you otherwise. So you need to stay with it, the badha, and you see your breakthrough, see it every day. So you're ready for the day. You can face the world, even though it throws so many delusions at you. You know, you have seen the reality. You're rooted there. Second reason. Third reason is the control of the mind and the senses. Your serenity will be disturbed if the mind and the senses are not suffused with this realization. What will happen is, a little problem, somebody is insulting. I know I am awareness, and this guy and the insult are both appearances in awareness. Still, I'll wear a frown for the rest of the day. What happened? What happened to being the infinite awareness? Why are you angry with a little insult? It's because the mind has not been conditioned by that. The mind is still working according to past samskaras. So to suffuse the mind and the senses, to bring them under control so that they can manifest your realization. Mind and sensory system, to purify them, to bring them under control so that they can manifest your realization. Third reason. Fourth and fifth reasons are the final reasons, which are dukkha nivritti, ananda prapti. You should be able to overcome all the problems that happen in life. From your perspective as awareness, yes, the behavior of others, the pain in the body, the disease, the ups and downs of life, has nothing to me. They're like movies. I should be able to say that honestly to myself, and so treat them as nothing. Plus, ananda prapti. There should be endless fulfillment, a blessedness in the mind, a holiness in the mind, which should well up effortlessly. For these reasons, this meditation practice is important. Which meditation practice? The advanced non-dual meditation practice, which we are going to take a look at today, for these 5 reasons. Again, I'm arguing for Totapuri. Sri Ramakrishna does not need it. And nor will we when we go to that level of a gold water pot. But for a long time, one must stay with these practices. What about the yogic practice of stilling the mind, quietening the mind? That also is very useful. Now, Shankaracharya will say at the end, the earlier yogic practices of calming the mind in samadhi, that is extremely useful also. One, nobody is stopping you from combining both. So what Shankaracharya does in this book, Aparoksha Anubhuti, is unique in the sense that 15 practices of non-dual meditation are given here. 15 practices. Each one of them is good enough to stabilize us in our realization. I am Brahman, I am awareness. So 15 practices. And what Shankaracharya has further done here is, slightly humorously, slightly mischievously, what he has done is, all the terms he is using for non-dual meditation have been borrowed from yogic meditation. The terms which are normally used, sitting, breathing control, focusing the mind, they're all from yoga, from Patanjali Yoga. And he has taken 15 terms from Patanjali Yoga, from some Hatha Yoga texts, and then twisted the meaning. He has subverted them. He has given a new interpretation. deeper, more philosophical, non-dual interpretation to each term. Breathing doesn't mean at all what you might think it does. Sitting doesn't mean at all what you think it does. So he has changed the meaning. Original meaning, yogic meaning, plus Advaitic, non-dual meaning. We will see that. So 15 practices. And by the way, in the yogic system, all 15 are necessary. You can't do one. You have to do all 15 in order to achieve samadhi, stilling the mind. Here, any one of them will take you to the highest in non-dual meditation. So, yogic terms, Advaitic interpretation. What are the 15? I am reading out verse number 101 and 102 and 103 from Aparokshanubhuti. Yamo hi niyamastyago maunam deshascha kalana maunam deshascha kalata asanam mola bandhascha deha samyam cha driksthitihi prana sanyamanam chaiva pratyaharascha dharana atmadhyanam samadhischa proktanyangani vaikrama. 15. I will rattle them out, giving you the Sanskrit and the this English translation quickly. Just a list. Yama, the moral practices. Niyama, the moral disciplines. Tyaga, renunciation. Maunam, silence. Desha, place, auspicious place for meditation. Kala, time, auspicious time for meditation. Asanam, the seat where you sit. Mula bandha, lock. These are special locks used in Hatha Yoga to improve the power of asanas. But of course, Shankaracharya will give you some other meaning. Then Deha Samyam, posture of the body. Then 10, Driksthiti, where do you keep your gaze, focusing the gaze. That's number 10. 11 is Prana Sanyamanam, breathing, control of the breath. 11. 12, Pratyahara, withdrawal from the external world, withdrawing the senses from external engagement. Then 13, Dharana, focus. Then 14, Dhyana, meditation. Meditation, we're talking about meditation, but actual meditation is the 14th of 15 steps. In Ashtanga Yoga, it is the seventh of eight limbs. It's not, we say we are doing meditation. No, it's something preliminary you are doing. Meditation is a pretty advanced thing. Dhyana, meditation, that's 14. 15, finally, Samadhi, complete absorption. So these are the 15 steps to be practiced in sequence in yoga. In non-dual Vedanta, you will see any one of them is good enough to center you in the Advaitic truth. We will now take them up one by one. I will quickly mention the original meaning in order to set the context and then tell you the new meaning given by Shankaracharya, which will help us in non-dual meditation. And remember, the non-dual meditation is what? It is badha, sublation, seeing the universe as an appearance in consciousness, which I am. Watching the movie and keeping in mind it's a movie. Number 1. This is verse 104. The first practice, Yama. Sarvam Brahmeti Vijnanad Indriyagrama Sanyamaha Yamo Yamiti Samprokto Abhyasaniyo Muhurmuhu. The restraint of all the senses by means of such knowledge as all this is Brahman is rightly called Yama, which should be practiced again and again. So the Yama basically means 5 moral precepts, 5 moral practices you find in Patanjali Yoga. Before one begins yoga, before one goes for meditation, first a moral life, ethical life is necessary. Specific ethical practices are enjoined for the yogi, for the meditator, by Patanjali. What are the 5 practices? First is ahimsa, non-violence. First, do no harm. Whose vow? Doctors. First, do no harm. So, doctors, ahimsa. If you're a yogi, you have the same vow, do no harm. non-violence. Non-violence does not just physically, not that you're just supposed to punch somebody or murder somebody. That of course, but also in speech. Don't use violent speech. Also in mind. Don't commit violence in mind, anger directed at people. No. So non-violence. One. Second is satyam. Stick to the truth. Not that you have to go around telling truth to everybody. That the sun has now risen. What are you doing? I'm telling you the truth. No. Do not utter a falsehood knowingly. Tell the truth and tell it gently. I love Mark Twain when he says that often I have seen people who claim to be fond of the brutal truth, brutally honest, fond of the brutal truth. They are often more fond of brutality than the truth. Satyam vada priyam vada ma vada satyam apriyam. So tell the truth. Tell it sweetly, gently, and do not tell a harsh and unpleasant truth. You can even do that, a harsh, unpleasant truth, but only when it is in an environment of trust, of love, and of well-being, of care, that you are a well-wisher. Then the third one is Brahmacarya, which is self-control, which is control over sensuousness. It can mean celibacy completely, or it can mean being faithful in a relationship, in a marriage, but control over our lusts. So that is Brahmacharya. That's third. Then there is Astaya Non-Stealing, not to take what does not belong to you. And it goes further, Aparigraha, non-acceptance of gifts. What does that mean? It means that do not accumulate, do not take more than what you need. In fact, take just the bare minimum what is needed from society, from people, from the environment. Take the bare minimum. We are sort of coming around to that kind of thinking nowadays, with the green movement, with the pollution in the environment, with the global warming. We are beginning to see the wisdom of this austere living, simple living. So anyway, these are the 5, and they are a must for a yogi. In fact, I remember this very touching letter from Mahatma Gandhi to somebody in the movement of the freedom struggle in India at that time. So, he emphasized non-violence and truth, but also Brahmacharya, control of the senses, avoiding sensuousness. Now, most of the people around him, they were freedom fighters, they were activists, they were politicians. They were not actually spiritual seekers like Mahatma Gandhi himself. So they rebelled against this. They say, okay, we understand you have to tell the truth. We also understand that non-violence is a good strategy because you're fighting against the power of the British army. You can't, they'll shoot us if we start violence. They thought it was a strategy. For Mahatma Gandhi, it was spiritual practice. Anyway, Mahatma Gandhi writes an important insight into these practices. He says, they don't understand. You can't practice them separately or severally. If you practice them together, self-control, truth, non-violence, it's easier. If you try to practice one and not the others, it becomes difficult to practice even one. Try to be non-violent only, but you're telling lies and leading an uncontrolled life, you'll end up being violent in some form or the other, hurting somebody or the other. And try to be completely self-controlled and non-violent, but tell lies. So all of them will have to go together. Now, what Shankaracharya says, no. Sarvam Brahmeti Vijnana. Center yourself in your realization, I am awareness, like we did yesterday. In this awareness, world appears. Is the world outside awareness, or is everything in awareness? Everything is in awareness. Just think about it. It seems counterintuitive, but it's because we are habitually grounded in the body. That's why it feels I'm a little being and there's a vast world outside me. If you're the body, that's true. But if you're awareness, then the body and the world is also both are appearing to you in awareness. Just seems located here because you are operating from one center. But awareness is global. The entire universe appears to you in awareness. And remember, I'm making a distinction between awareness and knowledge. So we know a little bit of the universe, but we are aware of the entire universe as the known and as the vast unknown. A sadhu in Haridwar, monk. So this is very instructive. That Advaita teacher was saying, you are all pervasive awareness. You're all pervasive awareness. So a monk at the end of the hall said, wait a minute, sir, master, wait a minute. How can I be all pervasive? I'm just here. I'm not even there. How can I be everywhere? I'm just sitting here in my little seat at the end of this big hall. I'm not even all over the hall. How can I be all over this universe? I'm just here. In Hindi, मैं यहाँ हूँ, वहाँ नहीं, तो सर्वव्यापी कैसे हुआ? तुम सर्वव्यापी चैतन्य हो. You are all pervasive consciousness. And he said, no, stop. I'm just here, not even there. How can I be all pervasive consciousness? And then the teacher said, I'll tell you in Hindi and translate. He said, और यहाँ और वहाँ दोनों ही क्या चेतन में नहीं है? Consider for a moment what you just said. Here and there, are they both not in awareness? What I mean by this is, it'll become very clear if you take the dream example. Suppose in my dream, I'm walking along and there is this vast, path, a field before me. And I think I'm here and there is a tree, and far beyond, I can see my friend coming towards me. But when I wake up, here, there, and far beyond, all will be imagination in my mind, is it not? And I realized that it was all in the dreamer's mind. So, exactly like that, space itself is appearing in consciousness. Sarvam Brahmaiti Vijnana. Therefore, everything that is in space, everything is in space. All of that is also appearing in consciousness. And in that sense, everything is Brahman. Everything is an appearance in consciousness. That knowledge alone will give you these 5 qualities. After all, if everything that I experience and everybody that I experience is an appearance in that one constant light of consciousness, which I am, it's a movie playing in me, what will I be attracted towards? Why should I violate the vows of Brahmacaria? Why should I tell lies? Why do we tell lies? Why do we do immoral things? Because of 2 reasons. Temptation or terror. Attraction or repulsion. I want something so much that I'm willing to tell a lie for it. I'm willing to accept a bribe for it. So I want something so much. But if it's an appearance in consciousness, if it's not one bit different from you, why would you be attracted to it? What's there to be attracted for? What's there to tell a lie for? Or I tell a lie out of fear. I stand to lose a lot by telling the truth. Therefore, I tell a lie. We learn very early. Little kid, and dad comes and says, did you eat the cookie? I told you not to eat the cookie. And the little kid was eating the cookie. He says, no. And the dad says, okay then. And the kid says, magic? Told a lie and all trouble went away. And so learns to tell a lie. The trouble will go away. It's magic. But why do we tell lies? It's because we think we'll get into trouble, we'll have problems if we tell the truth. But if you see, all of it is a movie. What trouble could there be for you? You are the immortal consciousness. Somebody in the movie, which is you, gets upset with you. You tend to lose some of the movie money. Some kind of a problem happens in the movie. It's a movie. Because clearly an appearance in consciousness. It's the individual who stands to lose something temporarily. You're not the individual. You are that consciousness in which the individual is appearing. You are free. Individual never becomes free, but you are free of the individual. Why would you tell a lie? Why would you be afraid of telling the truth? So truth, self-control, non-violence. Whom will you hate? When Swami Vivekananda says, blamer, blamed, praiser, praised are but one. Whom to blame and whom to praise? They are one reality. They are one with you. Even if that person injures you, hurts you, how can you hate Literally, if one hand punches the other hand, will I break this hand? No. So, Sarvam Brahmeti Vijnana. By this realization, and stay with this realization, all of it is I. So all the qualities which the yogi struggles with, I must tell the truth. I must maintain self-control. I must not react in violence. That comes naturally to you. That's what? This is the first non-dual meditation. This is something that we must hold on to in the middle of life. Second one, verse 105. Sajatiya pravahascha vijatiya tiraskritihi niyamo hi paranando niyamat kriyate buddhehi. The continuous flow of only one kind of thought to the exclusion of all other thoughts is called niyama, which is verily the supreme bliss and regularly practiced by the wise. One kind of thought. Keep your mind on your realization. I am awareness. The universe is an appearance in awareness. That's all. Next thought. I am awareness, and all this is an appearance in awareness. And for to have that kind of thought, your eyes must be open. You must be experiencing. You can't switch off the mood. You must hold on to the thought. The yogi shuts down the thought. The jnani keeps that thought alive, but stick to this. Not that I am a person, I like this person, I dislike this person, and samsara starts. No. That is samsara. I am awareness, shining through this personality. And all of this personality and all personalities are all nothing but me. They are appearances in me. I shining, the world shines. By my light, the world is lit up. Hold on to this thought, moment to moment to moment. Mind will, and this is done in the mind will go here and there. Bring it back to this thought. This thought is based on your breakthrough, on your non-dual realization. So, what is the original niyama practice of the yogis? The word niyama is not an Advaitic term. It's borrowed from Patanjali Yoga. What's the original practice? 5 more practices. So the yogis are big on 5 practices. 5 more practices. In addition to the 5 earlier ones called yama. Now niyama. Niyama are positive practices, do's. Yamas are mostly don'ts. In fact, they are all don'ts. Ahimsa, violence, don't. Brahmacaria, self-control, that is indulgence in the senses, don't. Might say, what about truth? But notice, truth is basically a matter of not telling falsehoods. Telling falsehoods, don't. Stealing, don't. Accumulating, taking gifts, don't. Those are don'ts. But there are some do's also, 5 do's. So there is Shaucha, Santosha, Tapa, Swadhyaya, Ishvara Pranidhana. That is purity. That's saying that cleanliness is next to godliness. That's true. External and internal cleanliness. Then contentment. As far as the world is concerned, I should have some contentment. Again, otherwise spiritual life is not possible. Yoga is not possible. If I am endlessly concerned with the rat race, if I'm endlessly ambitious about the world, I've got this thing and I will get this thing next. In that case, yoga is not possible. Some maturity is necessary to step back from, yes, you need to do enough for your livelihood and to perform your duties, but that's it. Swami Vivekananda said, neither seek nor avoid. So contentment about the world. Not contentment, we are contented in 2 ways, in the wrong way, We are ambitious about the world, we are anxious about the world. Spiritual life, we are contented. God will take care of it. It should be the other way around. We should be seriously concerned about making progress in spiritual life and contented about the world. So contentment. Then tapaha, austerity. Vows like fasting, like on Shivaratri, stay awake all night, vigils, things like that, which would normally be suffering, deprivation, but you do it deliberately. For what purpose? To bring the body-mind under your control, under your will. Now we are under the control of body-mind. But body-mind should come under the control of the purified, we means the intellect, the purified understanding. When Vedic study, Swadhyaya. Swadhyaya originally, now it means self-study, scriptural study. But originally it meant chanting of your branch of the Vedas. That was Swadhyaya. So Vedic Brahmins would chants their branch of the Vedas, but you can take it in a general sense, which is study of scriptures. And then worship of God. So some devotional practice must be there. These 5 do's, do these 5. Before you are a meditator, these are a good foundation for meditation. But Shankaracharya says, no, no, no. All you need to do is center yourself in the awareness that I am awareness. And the world is an appearance in me. Then next, again center yourself in that. And then next, so he says, Abhyasaniya, Niyama Kriyate Buddhi. He's making a pun on the word. Niyama means these 5 practices. And Niyama also means by rule, by regularity, by routine. So routinely practiced by the wise. Niyama Kriyate Buddhi. Niyamo hi Parananda. This is a great bliss. He is doing it on, he's saying this on purpose, because these moral practices take struggle. I must regularly study the scriptures, regularly in my morning and evening devotions, practice cleanliness. All this takes effort. It's not a question of great bliss, struggle. Shankaracharya says, no, the practice which I am giving you is great bliss. You remain centered in joy, that I am awareness. Why would you not do it continuously? The problem of spiritual practice, any kind of discipline, is that it takes effort, willpower. One Vaishnava teacher, I still remember, very humorously, he said, the problem with Kali Yuga today, spiritual practice is difficult for most people. Why? No, we are so body-centered. When we say, now you have to fast, the first thing people say is, oh, fasting, what can I eat? You're supposed to fast. We want a way out. Repeat the name of God. How much? As if it's a difficult practice of when will it be over? It's like the Vedanta talk. Don't worry, it'll be over soon. When is this going to be over? I remember in the Himalayas, in Uttar Kashi, class is starting, Vedanta class, on the Mandukya Karika. It's a very powerful text, Mandukya Upanishad and the Mandukya Karika of Gaudapada with the commentary of Shankaracharya. The master who was starting it, he said, we are now starting today. Somebody said, so how long will it take to complete? And the master smiled and he said, I'll tell you in Hindi and translate. He said, पूर्ण करना है ऐसी तो कोई बात नहीं, जब तक सांस चलेगी तब तक मांडुक्य चलेगी. He said, there is no particular intention that you have to complete it. As long as you are breathing, you're going to read Mandukya. As long as the breath is there in the body, that means as long as you live. Why not? You're treating it as if it's some bitter medicine. How long do I have to take it before I get the result, which is enlightenment? This is joy. You're talking about your real nature. Stay with it. Another master I remember was not as gentle as this master. He was starting, of course, he was starting a difficult text. This is a text of grammar, Panini. When he started, Sanskrit grammar is notoriously boring for people. Not Sanskrit, Pandits love Sanskrit grammar. Groans, more grammar classes. So when he started the text, somebody in the class said, so when is it going to end? The first class. And the teacher said, out with you just. I don't want such people in my class. So niyamo hi parananda. This is bliss. To stay in your infinite nature. What could be more pleasing than this? So you hold on to this, stay with this moment to moment. It will lead you to, it will convert the brass pot into the golden water pot. Then the next practice, Tyaga, 106. Tyaga prapancha rupasya chidatmatva avalokanat tyago he mahatam pujya sadyo moksha mayo yataha. The abandonment of the illusory universe by realizing it as the all-conscious Atman is the real renunciation honored by the great, since it is of the nature of immediate liberation. So, Tyaga, renunciation. Renunciation is important for meditation. Original yogic meaning, the new non-dual meaning. What is the original yogic meaning? The original yogic meaning is actual renunciation. Becoming an ascetic, becoming a monk. What does a monk do? Whatever is all worldly pursuits are given up. And there's only one pursuit left in life, that is God realization. So meditation, prayer, austerity, that becomes the pursuit, not earning money. See, in a traditional Hindu society, once you complete your studies, you're expected to get married and raise a family, you hold a job, and all that is helpful in your spiritual life, but it's a slow progress. But suppose somebody says, I just want God realization, I don't want anything else. Then you're fit for tyaga, renunciation, if there are no other obligations. So what you do is, you give up, you renounce. Swami Vivekananda said, thine only is the hand that holds the rope that drags thee on. Let go thy hold, sannyasi bold, say Om Tat Sat Om. Why am I being dragged through life from one hurt to the next? It's because I'm holding the rope that's dragging me through life. Let go thy hold. How do you let go your hold? Then in all sorts of ways. You first of all renounce possessions. You renounce duties. You renounce obligations. You renounce relationships. Renounce property. So possessions and property. To minimize. Just the bare minimum of clothes and personal effects needed, and nothing more. You'd be surprised, even monks, how much we accumulate. I know once I had just joined the order, and I moved into the room of a Brahmacaria, another novice who was off for his training in our main monastery. So after 3 years, you are sent to the main monastery for intensive training. So this Brahmachari was leaving the room, he was going off on his intensive training, and I moved into that room in that ashram. I was a newcomer, and he had, what are trunks? Like big suitcases made of iron. So he had this trunk, 2, I think, trunks full of things. He said, when I came to be a monk 3 years ago, I had just a handbag. Now it's become 2 trunks. So stuff, minimize stuff. Swami Vivekananda said, India wants to show how little a person can live on. And we really can live on very little. So you renounce stuff. You renounce, property. So you don't own a house. You don't even own an ashram. You're in an ashram, but you don't own a brick of this ashram either. So property, money. So whatever is necessary, that is for your life as a monk, that much only, not more than that. You are not putting away anything for the future. You depend on God. And there are monks, you can take it to the extreme. There are monks who don't keep any money at all. I've seen in the Himalayas, nothing. And they depend entirely on begging their food and a hut or a cave to live in and one change of clothes. That's it. Nothing else. You can keep your own toothbrush for the sake of hygiene. There are monks who don't go even further. They don't even beg for food. So they depend entirely on God for food. That somebody notices and brings them food. Otherwise, what food? It's entirely up to the will of God. There is a saying Swami Bhuteshanand used to say about food. It's in Hindi. It's popular among monks in the Himalayas. Kabhi ghee ghana to kabhi mutti bhar chana or kabhi wo bhi mana. So that's in Hindi. What it means is sometimes it's rich food with ghee. It's rich food, spicy food somebody gives you. Sometimes it's just a handful of gram, chana, handful. And sometimes even that is not you don't get that either. So it rhymes nicely in Hindi. But you should be ready. You should be equal to all of them. So that is renunciation. But that's the yogic kind of renunciation. And you can formally become a monk. You can put on ochre robe. You can, like in Hinduism, Buddhism, and even say Christianity, Catholic Christianity, poverty, chastity, and obedience. Those are the vows. So that's being a monk. That's renunciation. Shankaracharya says here, no. That the deeper non-dual renunciation is, again, the same thing. Brahman, existence, consciousness, bliss is the only reality. Everything appears in that. Everything is pervaded with one existence, consciousness, bliss. Not one thing extra exists apart from it. This is real renunciation. I love that story. I've told it a number of times. I think some people know about it. The Princess of Kashi, Kashi Desh ki Rajkumari. That really exemplifies what Shankara is talking about, with seeing everything as Brahman. So in one kingdom in ancient India, a theatrical performance was organized. And one of the characters in that theatrical performance, like a Broadway play movie, was the Princess of Kashi. Kashi is the holy city of the Hindus. So the Princess of Kashi was supposed to be a character. Now, who's going to play that? And the princess was a 5-year-old, supposed to be a 5-year-old girl. So the queen of that kingdom said, well, the prince is 5 years old. You can dress up the prince as a little girl, as a princess. I'm sure he'll make a cute princess. So they dressed him up as a princess, and he just had to stand there. I suppose there are no dialogues. He looked so cute, the queen told the court painter, paint him in that dress. So they painted a portrait of him and they said Princess of Kashi and dated it and all. Anyway, years passed. 15 years later, the prince was a young man doing princely things. And one day, he was exploring the palace. He went to the underground, the storerooms, and he came across an old painting. He wiped the dust of it, and he saw this little girl, and just dated Princess of Kashi, and he fell in love with her. And he thought, I want to marry this. She will be my queen. I'll marry this princess and nobody else. But then he was shy. He couldn't tell anybody. He moped. And then the queen and the king were worried about him. Why is he suddenly so miserable? Finally, the wise old minister took him aside and said, Prince, you can confide in me. What happened? What's wrong with you? He said, I am in love. Oh, good. Who is she? Who is the lucky girl? She's a princess. Oh, even better. Where did you meet this princess? I haven't met her, but I have seen her picture. It's the Princess of Kashi. It's an old picture, but she's approximately my age. And I want to marry her and nobody else. Otherwise, I'll never be happy again unless I marry her. Then the minister said, Princess of Kashi, painting. Can you take me where you saw the painting? So he takes him down to that storeroom and shows him this is the painting. And the minister took one look at that and said, Prince, you need to sit down. This is not a Princess of Kashi. Well, whoever she is, I'll marry her. Then he tells him the whole story about the theatrical performance and how he was painted. He was a little kid and dressed as the Princess of Kashi and painted in this. And that is that painting. Said, that is not the Princess of Kashi. That is you. Tat Twamasi, that thou art, O Prince. Now, the prince renounced his desire for the Princess of Kashi. How? Did he say, I'm going to be a monk and I'm not going to marry anybody? Did he say that? Or did he say that, oh, the Princess of Kashi is now married to somebody else. That's why I have no desire. Or did he even say, the Princess of Kashi does not exist, therefore I do not have a desire? No. He realizes it was I all along. There's nothing there that is unattained by me. The world is our Princess of Kashi. When we realize that, that is renunciation. See how this is most powerful renunciation. Not the struggle the poor yogi has to go through. I must give up my possessions. I must give up my property. I will have no relations. No, you see, in the midst of possessions, property, and relationships, you realize it's the Princess of Kashi. I alone am appearing as all of this. This, he says, this is Tyagaha. Tyaga prapancha rupasya. Here you have renounced the entire universe. How? Siddhatmatva avalokana. By seeing it is consciousness alone, I alone am appearing as the universe. This is renunciation. Then one more we'll do and then stop. The next practice is silence. 107, 8, 9, all of them are together. I'll just read it through. Yasmat vacho nivartante aprapya manasasaham yanmaunam yogi bhirgamyam tadbhavet sarvada buddha. So from which the mind along with speech, which they cannot attain. Ultimate reality cannot be expressed by language, cannot even be thought about. It's beyond language and speech. That is real silence. So So that is real silence. The wise know this. So real silence is Brahman itself, absolute reality, because language cannot express it. Whatever you speak about, it's not Brahman. And that which you are speaking about is an appearance. It's not real. So that is silence. Silence proceeds from that. Then two more verses on silence. So how much he's speaking about silence? Vacho yasmad nivattante tadvaktum kena shakyate prapancho yadi vaktavya sopi shabda vivarjitaha iti va tadbhavet maunam satam sahaja sangitam gira maunam tu balanam prayuktam brahmavadibhi. That which words cannot express. How will you express that? That is real silence, silence with a capital S. And if you want to talk about the world, that's what we talk about. I'm not going to talk about the Brahman, I'm going to talk about the world. Wittgenstein, the great philosopher, in his book Tractatus, he says, the limits of the world, the limits of language are the limits of the world. Language is meant to express something in the world. Here Shankara says, even you cannot do that. Word is paradox. You cannot in depth express anything in the world. You'll end up, your most sophisticated scientific theories will end up in paradoxes. Prapancho yadi vaktavya sopi shabda vivarjita. The Jains say that the nature of reality is ananta dharmakam vastu. Every bit of reality has infinite aspects. Whatever you say is true in some particular aspect. Syad, in this way only. They developed a multi-valued logic long before multi-valued logics were popular and known in the world. The Jainas, just in the logic, we have two values, binary, true or false, T or F. But because of the necessity of modern mathematics and computer science and other things, we realize we need not just true and false, but something else. A few other values are needed in logic. So mathematicians have developed what are called multi-valued logics, true, false, and other things. Multi-value. The Jainas in India, nearly 2000 years ago, had developed a 7-valued logic, Saptabhangi Naya. So even samsara is not accurately expressible by language. Iti va yad bhavet maunam satam sahaja sangitam. So this is silence which is natural silence. Speech cannot express reality. What about the other silence practiced by the yogis? What is that? I will not speak. And that's good because a lot of energy is wasted in speaking. I know. Really, I feel drained every time I give talks. I feel a lot of energy is wasted in speaking. There's a great philosopher in our Institute of Culture in Kolkata, who never wrote books or wrote papers or gave talks. So somebody, one of my friends, a monk, asked this philosopher, when I ask you a question, sir, you explain it so beautifully. So why don't you give talks or write books or write papers? And the philosopher, he had a flair for the dramatic. He said, Swami, those who speak a lot, they can't write. Those who write a lot can't think. I think. So what are you doing here? I'm thinking. Somebody actually complained to the Swami, who was the head of the ashram at that time, very great Swami, Lokeshwaranji. That guy is useless. Why are you keeping him in the institute? He's not giving lectures, he's not giving talks, right? Not publishing books or papers. He just claims to be thinking. And the Swami smiled. He had the sweetest smile. He said, in Bengali, he said, "Erokom du ekta lok thaka bhalo." It's good to have a couple of people like that. Every institute, every family benefits from that kind of person. All right. So I will not speak. That is the yogic silence. And that's useful. Because a lot of energy is wasted. Mahatma Gandhi, one day a week, he used to remain in silence. Swami Ranganathan, one day a week, he was a great orator, great teacher of Vedanta. One day a week, he used to remain in silence, I think Thursdays. So there's conservation of psychic energy. If you don't do that, you can't meditate. You talk a lot, sit quietly. Either the mind will be chaotic, it will go here and there, or you'll fall asleep. because so much energy is drained out by speaking. So just this physical, but the real quietness is not the quietness of this physical speech, verbal speech, but quietness of the chatter in the mind. If you forcefully shut down speech externally, chatter in the mind goes on, in fact intensifies. And the moment you let it go, you start speaking. I knew a monk who practiced, who took a vow of silence for nearly 10 years. He wouldn't speak. And he would use sign language or write down what he needed to, but he lived in the Himalayas, didn't need to speak much. So he didn't speak 10 years. But when he broke his vow, finally his vow of silence ended, oh my God. He spoke and he spoke and he spoke till people ran away at the sight of him. And he didn't speak profound things, just the daily gossip. I knew another monk who had a vow of silence for more than 1 year, 2 years. At one night, I was in the same room. We shared a room. At night, I still remember, he spoke non-stop after he fell asleep. And he wouldn't believe it. When in the morning I told him we were speaking, he wouldn't believe it. So that's suppression. Not spoken at all for 2 years. I mean, it's coming out. So that is, it's a good practice, moderately done. Yes, speak less, that's a good thing. There's a good rule. Hitam cha, mitam cha, satyam cha, hitam cha, mitam cha. That, what does it mean? Tell the truth. Tell what is beneficial, not anything else. And also that truth and beneficial also minimize. Mitam means within control, within a minimum. That's a good rule, instead of trying to stop speaking altogether. Shankaracharya here, he displays his humor once in a while. So he says, Giram maunam tu balanam prayuktam brahmavadi. Once in a while, there's a twist in the tale. He pokes fun at the yogis. He says, this silence practiced by the yogis, I will not speak. This is for children. This is for children. What does he mean? When you go into a class of school kids, maybe 6-year-olds, 5-year-olds, all rambunctious, running around and shouting, and the teacher says, quiet, sit still. For a few seconds, they will sit still. That's the kind of silence the yogis are practicing. Because the mind is running here and there, mind is so quiet, don't speak. That's childish. Sometimes Shankaracharya does this, and there is a little later there will be the practice of breathing, control of breath, which is one pranayama, which is important for meditation. You still the breath, the mind will be still easily. So the yogis have developed a whole sophisticated system of control of breath. And in puja, when Mataji does the puja, when you see a Hindu priest doing a puja, Buddhists also, they practice a short pranayama. So the way they do it is, I'm not teaching you, don't do it. I'm just showing what they do. There's a point to it. So you close one nostril and then you count, maybe a 4 count. Mentally you count om, 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 om 4 times, and then you shut the mouth, this nostril, both nostrils like this. And then you do a 16 count holding the breath. And then you release an 8 counts on the right nostril. And then you breathe in for 4 more counts, hold the breath, hold for 16 counts, and then release for 8 counts. That's one pranayama. Now Shankaracharya says, real pranayama is you breathe out the universe. How do you breathe out the universe? You realize it's not a real universe out there. It's an appearance in consciousness. Then you breathe in the reality that I am consciousness. Then holding the breath is what? Staying with that. I am. Aham Brahmasmi. Aham Brahmasmi. Stay there. That is Kumbhaka, holding the breath. Breathe out the reality of the universe. Breathe in the reality of I am awareness, I am consciousness, I am Brahman. Stay there. That is holding the breath. This is real breathing in, breathing out, and holding the breath. But what about that one? This one? Shankaracharya says, that is just torturing the nose. You're twisting your nose. So he's just being humorous. He's poking fun at the yogis. Later on, he says, all those are very powerful, very good techniques and very useful for stilling the mind. But what I'm talking about here is Badha, staying with your non-dual realization. And so on it goes. But by now you've got the idea. All of them in the non-dual sense is just staying with your realization that I am the witness, I am awareness. World is an appearance in awareness. Now, in the remaining time, we'll quickly take some questions.
Would you like me to read off the words?
All right, let's take one from the internet audience. Then I'll take one from the live audience. Think of your question, raise your hand, I'll call upon you.
This question relates to devotion and prayer. I generally pray throughout the day, but I've noticed lately a voice saying that which prays is not real. That to which you pray, that thou art. This voice has been talking more and more seriously, reminding me of the lessons learned through Vedanta. My question is, can this voice be trusted? How to know if it is just the personal ego dressed up in a guru's clothing? And does the very fact that I am asking this question demonstrate the personal mind still at play?
Yes. The very first sentence, the voice is telling me that which prays is not real. I who am praying to the Lord, I am not real. What does Advaita say? He says you are the only reality that there is. Not the other way around. Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya Jiva Brahmeva Napara. Brahman alone is real. Consciousness alone is real. The world is an appearance. And you, are you real or unreal? You are real. You are consciousness. So the voice is telling you that which is praying is not real. No, don't listen to that. When you are praying, you are real, and the one you are praying to is real, and your prayer is real. It's all better. Non-duality has no conflict with duality. Non-dualism has no conflict with dualism. The other way around is not true. See, the dualistic systems do not accept. So Madhva Advaita Vedanta will not accept Advaita as a true system. It's wrong. But Advaita will say a dualistic is a lower, but not untrue. Given conditions, it is true at that level. There is a word for it, Vyavaharika Satyam, transactional reality. If you are eating, talking, walking, why can't you pray to God? So yes. Anybody here? Yes. Tell us your name and ask the question.
I feel like you talk about and Vedanta. I mean, they look completely different. And again, we have questions, bhakti path, this cultivates easiest path. So, is it not recommended to follow all the practices, or which path is selected? These are two questions.
Good. The question is asking, is there multiple paths? You talked about Nirodha and Badha. And then the Vaishnavas talk about Bhakti. True. Notice in all of these cases, the problem has been set up in a particular way and the answer comes, the solution comes according to that. So in the path of Bhakti, the problem is that God exists. I do not have faith in God. I do not have love for God. I do not have surrender to God. That is the problem. Solution is Bhakti. Have faith, love, surrender to God, and it will work for you. Does it work? Yes, it works. So Bhakti is one paradigm. It's one way of looking at it. No, the objection from the Advaitic side would be, no, that's not enough, because ultimately the problem is ignorance. You do not know that you are Brahman, and the knowledge of Brahman has to come. Remove the ignorance, then only you're free, because you have to see yourself as free. You are the infinite free Brahman. That has to come ultimately. So Bhakti, if it leads to that, good, but ultimately that knowledge has to come. But my answer, as an Advaitin, I know what's going on. You have already made up your mind that you are Brahman. This is true. Ignorance is the problem. Knowledge has to come. In that case, Advaita becomes the highest. But that's not the only paradigm there is. It might just be the other way around. The Vaishnava may just have it right also, that God exists, you are a jiva, forget all that I am Brahmasmi. You have devotion to the Lord will take care of you. Why not? So that's one paradigm. Then the other paradigm is the yogic paradigm. No, not faith in God, not realizing I am Brahman, no, none of that intellectual approach, none of that emotional approach. You must experience it. Sit, meditate, breathe like this, and withdraw your senses, meditate and focus like this, that your Atma will be revealed to you and you're free. You will see that you are not body and mind, you're free. So here the paradigm is, the problem is restlessness of the mind, and the solution is control of the mind and stillness of the mind. In Advaita Vedanta, the problem is not that the mind is restless or you don't have faith in God. No. The problem is you don't know you are Brahman. You're already free. You don't know that. That ignorance, that thinking that I am not free, that ignorance has to be removed. By what knowledge? The knowledge that I am Brahman, I am free. You notice how the problem is set up, the solution follows accordingly. Which one is right? As an Advaitin, I will say the Advaitin one is right, but I also know that these are just different ways of formulating the problem. That's why Swami Vivekananda, to answer your second question, all of these practices are helpful and they should be followed. Swami Vivekananda talked about the harmony of the 4 yogas. You are Brahman, but you're also, as Brahman, limited by that body mind, and that you can call it an appearance, but still, there's no doubt that Prathamesh is appearing. Then Prathamesh has to be a devotee of God. Prathamesh has a mind which is turbulent. Meditation will work. So one should have the knowledge, I am Brahman. Practice meditation at the level of the mind, to still the mind. Fill your heart with devotion to God and work for the welfare of the world and others. It is a harmony of 4 yogas, strongly recommended by Vivekananda for this day and age. Most wholesome path. And notice the traditional acharyas, Shankaracharya, Ramanujacharya, none of them neglected any of the yogas. They just established a hierarchy. In Shankara's view, Karma Yoga is foundational, gives purity of mind. Meditation and Upasana is foundational, it gives focus of mind. And then finally, at the final level, Jnana Yoga, the path of knowledge, comes in, generates knowledge, removes ignorance, and you realize you are Brahman and free. But already Karma Yoga has been included, and Bhakti and Upasana has been included, meditation has been included. If you read the Gita commentary, Karma is strongly presented. Nobody can deny it. If you read the Upanishad commentary, Shankaracharya strongly recommends the Upanishadic upasanas, meditations. Is there another question from the internet audience? I'll come to you next.
Can you briefly discuss the distinction between Par-Brahman and Brahman, Par-Atman and Atman, and how Turiya relates to each?
Big question. Simple answer is all the same. Brahman, Parabrahman, Aparabrahman. This is Advaita Vedanta talks about Brahman, which is transcendental, Nirguna Nirakara Brahman, Satchidananda itself, and also Brahman with the power of Maya appearing as this word, Ishvara, Hiranyagarbha, Virat, Aparabrahman. And they are the same reality, ultimately. Atman is Brahman. Atman is you, your real nature. The word Atman has many, many meanings in Sanskrit, including body also is Atman. Prana, mind, all of them are Atman. But ultimately, real meaning of Atman is Brahman, existence, consciousness, space. And the same thing is meant by Turiya. Turiya, the word Turiya only means 4. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a way of realizing that I am the Atman. Why 4? Here I am, the waker, in a waking state, with this body, experiencing this world. I am the waker. And this is the waker's word. 1. I fall asleep. I dream. I am the dreamer. And there's a dream word. 2. Dreams also stop. No waking, no dreams. Deep sleep. I am the deep sleeper. And there's a blankness in deep sleep. 3. And all of these 3 are witnessed. They shine in and appear and disappear in one underlying awareness. 4. That is Turiya. Turiya is the reality. The first 3 are appearances. Brahma Satyam, Jagat Mithya. Jiva, waker, dreamer, deep sleeper. Who's that? Turiya only. Jiva Brahmaiva Napara. Jiva is none other than Brahma. Tell us your name and ask the question.
My question is, practice of Atma Vichara. Are we practicing Nirodha or Vada?
Straight answer. In practice of Atma Vichara, the goal is Vada, not Nirodha. You cannot do Atma Vichara if you're practicing Nirodha. Nirodha means stilling the mind. If you still the mind, how will you do vichara? Vichara means inquiry. Inquiry has these three components: listening, reflecting, and meditation. Shravana, Manana, and Nidhyasana. This class, Vedanta class, which is going on here, if you still the mind, I will sit quietly. Well, at least listen to what I'm saying. No, I'll put earplugs. Then why come here at all? So these are two different paths. Stilling the mind is a good practice, but preliminary to Vedantic inquiry. In yogic practice, stilling the mind is the primary method. Notice I just said problem, restlessness of mind. Solution, stilling the mind. Problem, ignorance. Solution, not stilling the mind. Inquiry, Atma Vichara. Knowledge is the solution. So the path of Atma Vichara requires inquiry, requires study, listening to the teacher, studying the text, thinking about it, then staying with it, as Shankaracharya said. So these two are different. Both can be done and should be done. There should be a time for stilling the mind, morning and evening. There should be a time for Vedantic study and thought and reflection. You're trying to?
Be the witness.
No, don't try to be the witness. And see that you are the witness regardless. So your name is Aruna. You don't try to be Aruna. Whatever you are, you're still Aruna. Aruna, it's choiceless for you. You are the witness, choicelessly so. See, the witness, when I try to be the witness, it's a practice. It's more like a yogic practice. It's not Vedanta. I still remember this Vedanta teacher teaching the witness, Drigdrishya Viveka, Sakshi, witness consciousness. And then telling the monks, so monks, you feel you are now the witness of everything, and the monks nod enthusiastically. Kya Mahatma ji lag raha hai na ki main Sakshi hu? And then the monk said, yes. And the teacher said, bahut bade gadde mein giroge. You're going to fall into a very big hole. A big pit you have dug for yourself. That's an artificial witness. With great difficulty, you can retain a calm, cool, witnessing attitude. You'll get swept away the moment you open your eyes and go out into the 110 degrees outside. What happened to the witness? It's too hot for the witness. That is not the witness Advaita Vedanta is talking about, you see. Are you conscious now? Are you aware? And when you are, it is hot and you get upset, and are you aware there or not? That awareness is the witness. The calm, witnessing mind here and the non-witnessing, involved, upset mind there are both illumined by one awareness. That awareness is always calm. That is the witness. That's the choiceless witness. You are that. That's what Vedanta is trying to tell us. It's a question of knowing something, not trying to be something. What Vedanta is pointing out, you cannot be that. You are already that. You have to discover it. That's why the yogic attitude is try to be something. I'm trying to arrange my mind so that it is like this, calm, witnessing, serene. Thoughts are coming, stop, stop. Emotions are coming, stop, stop. Calm, calm. Getting upset, no. Cool down. That is yoga. It can be incomprehensible to a yogic mindset. I remember this monk I met, Shiva Hari Giri, young Nepali monk in the high Himalayas. So he was meditating. I asked him, what does he do? He stays in a cave and meditates. Very young man. He had these long flowing hair, sitting in the beard and sitting and meditating. Innocent young boy. He said, I really enjoy it, when all those tourists come on the other side of the valley and they take my pictures. It feels nice. Good boy. So I had a talk with him. He's practicing Patanjali yoga to attain samadhi. I said, that's good. What about Vedanta? Because his name is Giri, so Giri means he's one of the 10 orders of monks started by Shankara. So he must have, before you take sannyasa, at least a little bit of Vedanta you have to study, all of us. So he said, have you read Vedanta? He said, yes, I have studied. So what do you think about Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta? You're doing Patanjali yoga, but what do you think about Advaita Vedanta? Badha versus Nirodha. So his answer, typical yogic answer, shows a yogic mindset. His answer was, oh, वो लोग बहुत बात करते हैं, अनुभूति नहीं है उनका. They talk a lot, they don't have experience. So Vedanta sounds to him like a lot of talk. And if you ask a Vedantic, and the yogi is sitting quietly in meditation, Vedantin would say, why? From Vedantin's perspective, you are supposed to discover who you are. You're supposed to go to class like a person who goes to enrolls in a university, pays huge amounts of money for the university, and doesn't go to class, sitting quietly. Why? Unless knowledge comes, how will ignorance go? So that's the Vedantic attitude. Madhusudan Saraswati, in his commentary on the Gita, he says there are these two ancient streams of teaching. He says Mahadev, Shiva, has from ancient times given these two streams of teaching. And one is control of the mind leading to enlightenment. Another one is inquiry leading to enlightenment. He says for some, quietening the mind is the only way. For some, inquiry is the only way. For those who consider, he says, he makes further specification. Those who consider the world to be real, there is no other way except samadhi. You have to shut down the movie. It's not a movie, it's real. So you have to close your eyes to the world in order to realize the reality within. But those who follow the Vedic path, he says, Madhusudan Saraswati, which says that the world is an appearance, Advaita Vedanta. You have another path, the path of Badha. He doesn't use the word Badha, the path of inquiry, which will show that while the movie of the world is playing, it's a movie. The underlying reality is you, the consciousness. That is also possible. So these are the two paths. Combine, very good. Combine in the sense, don't do both at the same time. Inquiry, inquiry. At the time of meditation, time of quiet meditation. Both will work.
Maybe we can take one more.
Yes.
This is a common question I've received from people. Is there any advice for those who suffer from chronic pain or conditions that cause physical restlessness, such as ADHD, in the body, and how one might overcome these limitations impacting the ability to meditate? Chronic pain or this ADHD?
I don't know. To me, it appears that such conditions, Advaita Vedanta is very compatible. See, Advaita Vedanta does not try to blank out the world, does not depend on intense concentration. It depends on understanding. So with pain and without pain, you're the same awareness. With restless mind and with calm mind, you're the same awareness. This understanding must come. And then staying with that understanding. But the amount of quietness, serenity, inwardness required by Patanjali Yoga, that requires a healthy body, that requires a calm and collected mind, a good environment, good diet, health, or good diet in the sense sattvic diet, all of it has to be really, it has to come together to come to that razor sharp focus needed for samadhi. It can be done, but it's a lot to demand, especially if I'm old, body is feeble, there are aches and pains everywhere. It's too much to overcome. Bhakti is suitable for all. Whether the body is old or not, whether there's an ache in the body or not, sick or healthy, bhakti can be practiced by all. Swami Sri Ramakrishna says, bhakti itself leads to samadhi. Bhakti te apni kumbhaka. Intense devotion to God can lead to the stillness of the breath and stillness of the mind at moments. Sri Ramakrishna's life itself demonstrates daily going into samadhi, but often because of devotion to the Divine Mother. So yes, bhakti is recommended for such a person. Many of us are in the same boat. So bhakti is, devotion is always effective, and jnana, advaita, is always effective. And both can be combined. A little bit of selfless service as much as the body permits, that's also very good. So meditation, to the extent that is possible, don't give up on meditation, but don't worry too much about it. That, the body is not permitting, health is not permitting, doesn't matter. But a little bit morning and evening sitting quietly is necessary. Good. Should we wrap up now? Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. I pray to Sri Ramakrishna, the Holy Mother Sharada Devi, Swami Vivekananda, to bless all of us with peace and joy and enlightenment in this very life itself.